So, Carrie, thank you so much for coming out here today and taking your time to come and chat with us and do this interview. The purpose of the interview is we are trying to help motivate and inspire and educate current students through the voices of our alumni who have gone out there. You have been in the shoes of every student. You've had all of the same triumphs and all of the same challenges, and you've come out the other side to become a successful professional in your career. Mm-hmm. My first question is, how did your degree benefit you in your job?
My degree benefited me because without it, I wouldn't have been able to get my job. So it was required to have an A&P license. So it opened the door that wouldn't have been opened otherwise.
Okay. What would you say are some of the best job search strategies, or what job search strategies did you use to successfully land your current position?
I was actually introduced to members of the Air Support Unit here at CAU at the job fair. And so I remained in contact with them throughout my school process and let them know where I was at on testing and licensing. And as soon as I got my license, they told me to apply, and I wound up getting the job. So
that's fantastic. And something that I love about your answer to that is that you're touching specifically on the importance of networking. Mm-hmm. And how critical networking can be to helping you be successful in your career. So in your case, you attended an event, so you took the initiative to show up to the Aviation Career Day at CAU. Mm-hmm. And instead of just kind of sitting back and taking a backseat kind of stance, you took an initiative again to proactively go out, introduce yourself, talk to people, make connections, and you built a relationship at that career day. Yes. Right? Exchanged contact information, which later down the line led directly to a job offer.
Yes.
So that's amazing. What an amazing testimonial to hear about. Mm-hmm. the impact of that networking had on your career.
Yes.
So a job search strategy that you would suggest would be showing up to employer events. We have lots of employer events on campus. Show up to them because they can very well really lead to a job opportunity.
Yes, definitely.
That's great to know. What would you say are some common sense best practices for filling out a job application, just off the top of your head?
I think common sense job practices for an application would be being honest, first and foremost.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Don't put experience down that you don't actually have. It'll come out in the end. So put down real experience. Whether you don't have that much experience or you do, it's better to just be honest about it. Just try to not forget anything. Don't have any blank spots. Always have a timeline reference so they know what you're doing, whether it be going to school or working, or just don't have big sections missing out of your background.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. And then did you have someone proofread your application before you submitted it, just to make sure that you didn't have any spelling errors or typos, that just easy mistakes that could knock you out of the running?
I believe when I redid my resume, I sent it to you, and you looked it over and helped me with that. So
yeah, just having a second set of eyes just to look over those kinds of things, because you can read the same document so many times that you almost literally become blind to errors. So it's nice to have a fresh perspective, look at it and be like, oh, look, there's a typo there that we've scanned it 1,000 times, but we're blind to it because we just keep looking at the same document, revising, making little edits. So that's good to know. What do you think are some reasons that you know of, either from firsthand experience or just theoretically, that you can think of, why job applications would be rejected?
I think job applications would be rejected for sure. Like I said before, lying on your application.
Oh, yeah.
Honesty is always the best policy, obviously, anywhere you go in life. That's the number one, I would say. Not paying attention to what you're filling out. Maybe you have a lot of errors in your paperwork, or you haven't been very careful in what you're filling out. Maybe that might look bad to an employer because you're not paying attention to detail.
Right. Yeah. What job search engines have you used and which do you recommend?
I've gotten several jobs through JS Firm. It's a
Nice.
very good website. Um, I've used that a lot, and there's jobs worldwide posted there. You can upload your resume, and you can make it searchable or not searchable, so people can search candidates that have the right experience and send you offer letters or communicate with you. As well as, I think I've gotten a job at Indeed.com before, so those two I've used and had good luck with.
That's so great that you just said JS Firm and identified that as an option, because
Mm-hmm.
for those of you who don't know, JS Firm is like Indeed. I'm sure you're more familiar with Indeed or LinkedIn as job search platforms. Well, JS Firm is like that, except specific only to aviation opportunities. So that's very cool that you used that
Mm-hmm.
successfully and
Yes.
got opportunities from that. Good. What job search strategies can students start using now to line up opportunities after graduation? What can they, even if they haven't done all their testing, aren't qualified yet to be eligible for employment, what kinds of things can they do now to start setting their ducks in a row so that they can successfully have a job lined up upon graduation?
I would say first have a game plan before you graduate. Your strategy should be, first of all, figuring out where you want to be, what type of job in aviation, because there's all different types of jobs in aviation. Um, Whether you want to travel, maybe, and work for the airlines where you have travel perks, or maybe you want to stay local in a smaller business but you're closer to home. Having those plans will help set you up for success because you don't want to go after a job that you really don't want. And so you need to have your priorities in line and then start building from there.
Yeah, that is really good advice. Definitely. I know, like, one thing that we like to encourage students about, we have students who maybe get some test anxiety and stuff, and so they're hesitant or kind of procrastinating on taking their knowledge test, which uh, we we encourage them, like, hey, you're ready, like you can do this, take the test, get it done. What is your experience on and your opinion of the importance of staying on track with your testing so that by the time you graduate, you've already been keeping up with your knowledge tests and you're ready to go with pretty much scheduling your OMPs and passing them?
Scheduling the test and being prepared, I would say the best thing is just practice. I downloaded the Prepware app on my phone and iPad as well as my home computer. You can take as many practice tests as you want. It's good for a 2 year window, I believe. But you can go through, you'll see what questions you missed. You can study, you know your weak areas, your strong areas. And I did that many, many times, even before we were eligible. I was already taking the test just so that as soon as I was eligible, I could take it right away. And also, it'd be fresh on my mind. So I think that's a good practice. It's just study in advance, even before it's time. Just be one step ahead of the game versus playing catch up. And it's much more comfortable that way.
Probably a lot less stressful too.
Yes. Yeah.
That's great to know. What do you think about um, the different partnerships that CAU is building with employers and like um, pathway programs and stuff? Would you encourage students to take advantage of those opportunities if they lined up with their career goals?
I would encourage students to take the pathway programs. It's very good to see people like SkyWest and different people come in, um, telling about all the benefits of their work and the fact that they're willing to take people fresh out of school without prior experience. Those are very good avenues to get your foot in the door, to start your career, to build a foundation for your future, basically. Um, you go to school and then you get in with your employer. That's where you're going to get specific training and schools, certifications, all that's, you just build and you stack that up layer on layer, and eventually you just get very much more comfortable in what you're doing. So the pathway program, it helps because students kind of know where they have more of a chance of getting in and where people actually want them to come in from.
Yeah, definitely. Would you encourage students to make use of the resources available too? This is something that we're definitely encouraging students, but from your own experience and perspective, like, you know, the students have access through, as a CAU student, to all of these resources that CAU has to offer. So that's like relationships with employers, employer events, contacts with recruiters. The staff at CAU is talking to the executive leadership, the decision makers, the hiring managers at these companies, and so these resources are very valuable, and we want to encourage more student participation and taking advantage of those resources. Every student should be scheduling to meet multiple times with career services to help them through every cumulative point in the process, right? And so we're telling them that, but of course, we're seem a little biased, right?
Yeah.
So what would you say is your experience with that, and how helpful or not helpful the resources are that your school has to offer, just taking those opportunities?
Well, like I said, the school resources helped me tremendously because without the job fair that CAU put on, I wouldn't have met um, my now coworkers.
I love
Uh,
that.
so that was good. I don't know that we would have ever crossed paths otherwise. So definitely, like you said earlier, attending the events and kind of putting yourself out there. It's the best way to, get your foot in the door somewhere. So the other services like the resume, you looking over my resume and helping proofread that, different things like being able to come in on Fridays and do extra study time with the instructors when you don't have class, and prepping for the test, all that's good too. So there's a lot of ways that you can benefit from doing those things if you choose to.
Yeah, and something that you just said reminded me as well that you took advantage of opportunities even to pursue like internship, apprenticeship roles while you were still a student as well.
Yes.
And that was yet another tool that you got to add in your tool belt that helped you in your career.
Oh, and it definitely helped me on my oral and practicals. I felt much more comfortable. One of the instructors had spoken to somebody about me that ran a general aviation shop, and I was able to get a job while going to school there. And I would go to work before school, do things like oil changes, tire changes, check spark plugs, and do a lot of um, smaller jobs, but apprentice style jobs that got me more hands-on experience. And I was learning it in the books, but also being able to put it into actual practical use made me much more comfortable when it came to take the practical exam.
Yeah, because you're practicing, you're getting that hands-on practice
Right.
every day. So you're studying for the theoretical side, but you're also getting that hands-on.
Yes.
That's great to know.
Yeah.
As a mechanic, as an aircraft mechanic, what kind of industry trends are you seeing right now in terms, especially pertaining to job opportunities?
Well, I trends. I don't. I'm kind of in my own place, but what I've noticed is I get a lot of job offers constantly, even though I'm not looking. Uh, I have a LinkedIn account, and I'll probably at least 2 or 3 times a month get a job offer, and they're all over the
Wow.
world doing all different kinds of things, and all over the United States. And there's a lot of jobs out there, and a lot of cool things and interesting things that people can do right now. Um, I know aviation's hurting for mechanics, so this is a job where you can basically go anywhere you want, and it's just so full of opportunity. So definitely should be taken advantage of.
Wow, yeah, and what a good position to be in, to be so in demand that you're not even looking for a job, and 2 to 3 times a month you're being headhunted.
Yes.
That's a great spot to be in
Yeah.
your career.
It's a good feeling.
Yeah, for sure. What would you say are some of the most important characteristics or soft skills that a person should develop to benefit them in the workplace? For example, like professionalism or being reliable, knowing how to communicate with people, that kind of thing. Like, what do you feel are the most important soft skills, and why are they so important?
The most important soft skills, I would say, learning how to, well, listen. You have to be able to listen. You have to be able to take criticism, both positive and negative, and not take it personally. A lot of times when we're learning, we're going to make mistakes, and that's fine as long as you're honest about it and, you own up to your mistakes. So accountability, um, always showing integrity, honesty, being there when you're expected to be there. You know,
Yeah,
that's probably number one. But also, people's personalities might conflict a little bit, from time to time. But if you can remain professional, at least while you're at work, you get along with each other. That's very important because you want to have a nice, cohesive group and a nice work environment. So, um, getting along, learning, always learning, and kind of like trying to do better and maybe do a little more each time and just keep improving instead of just staying in the same spot.
absolutely. And clearly, we can see how much that's benefited you.
Mm-hmm.
You are one of our most accomplished alumni, and had a lot of firsts here at
Yeah,
CAU
yeah,
too. So I mean, you're practicing what you preach, and it's working.
right.
So the proof's in the pudding.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good.
Yeah.